Hey, hello, this is Jim. We're going to get on to the creating distributed services section here in our second video. This is the service mesh, and the service mesh is based on Istio, and is also comprised of a number of other helper applications such as Kiali and various others. And we're going to be using this sample application that comes with Istio, and that's an application that has a product page is the main point, and this shows the view to the customer, if you will, the details of a book for sale in a Ruby on Rails application, and then three versions of the reviews application, two of which then go and get a star rating system. First view returns no ratings. Second view returns the ratings but colorizes them black. And the third brings back ratings colorized as red. So let's get started. I just opened up already my OpenShift browser, and what I see here is that I'm in user one book info. I'm in the developer drop-down, not administrator, and the topology is not shown because there's no topology in this namespace, which is basically identical to the project terminology, except for some extensions in terms of metadata. And the project here, user one book info, is empty, so we're offered a service catalog so we can fix that. Now, going back to the docs, um, these are the projects I saw before I clicked on book info, and now we're going to log into OpenShift from the actual IDE. And using the toolbox, symbolized by box on the right-hand side, I can click log into OpenShift. I'll be offered a new terminal here, and this terminal is dedicated to OpenShift login, meaning when I use my user 2, which is what I'm using. Yeah, now this front, the foreground of the terminal is consumed. We can close that, and it's still running fine. We'll see who am I will tell me if I'm successful, and I am user 2, so that's good news. And the next thing we need to do is to be, there is a already in here. If I were to go into the Istio system, there's pods running here that are forming this service mesh. And here they are. So you see Istio here, you see Kiali, and you see Jaeger to form this overall service mesh. Now, so the service mesh is in its own namespace. For it to monitor things in our namespace, like book info, we need to tell OpenShift through this service mesh member role API that these are the workspaces, or I should say namespaces, that are to be monitored or subscribed to the service mesh. So I'll go to my topology here. Anytime we have the ability just to put an API call, what would normally be done with an apply command, can be done with a GUI by hitting this plus up here. That brings up a handy dandy YAML editor, complete with IntelliSense sort of code coloring. We paste this in here, hit create, and now those memberships are assigned. Now we're going to apply an application. So within our source tree here, there is, I don't know if I expand this out, I can close this for room. You'll see that there are any number of different directories. Catalog, we're not going to be messing with the source much, but there's going to be rules settings here and other YAML artifacts in this directory subsystem that we will apply to make OpenShift Kubernetes work. So OC is very much like kubectl, if you're familiar with that. And here we're going to apply bookinfo YAML from Istio. And if I look at that, after I look at a couple of these, you probably won't want to see them all. But this shows that there's a service defined. This is for the ingress gateway. It's at port 9080 in the Istio world. And there's a deployment here for a version 1 deployment for the main book info page, or the details page here on this one. And then the sidecar is going to be injected. That's true. This is applied in the namespace that subscribed. We'll get that. Here's a rating service. So this is basically the deployments and that make up this application. So I'll hit enter. Go back to here, and if I look at my topology from book info, selected up here, I'll probably see, yeah, I see pods here. This one's not done yet, starting up. The dark blue means that the application is actually available. So we got light blue, which is that it's a liveness on the pod. Dark blue, that it's a readiness of the application. Now we're going to create this ingress gateway, Istio ingress gateway here, and we'll do that the same way. Just I'll clear that screen so you can see this more clearly. I'll even take it up a notch in terms of size of font. Yeah, so now we have that ingress that's not visible in this user space, so we won't go looking for it. But now we'll do the tell it the traffic for any incoming host here. We're going to change the policy from allowing contact from any host to the specific host for these different deployments, so that they're looking for the ingress gateway to be the host, so we don't get any side attacks. And we're using a patch command. This is the JSON patch. We tell it, OC can tell it type JSON, and then rather than grepping and setting and all these other techniques for editing YAML, we'll just do a patch here, and we'll have to go. It can patch that, and it'll redeploy appropriately. Now we're going to say, here's the destination rules, and once we hit the book info products page, the main page, here's how Istio knows to go out and look for the reviews at a certain location, ratings at a certain location, details. It's all spelled out here. And we'll actually be able to see the destination rules as Kubernetes objects right here. And that's all working. Now, this will do some labeling and annotation to give our topology view a more interesting capability. Right now, here we just have OpenShift logos, but if I go to the workspace, apply this, hit enter and go here, hey, I get the logos and actually the traffic route designations, so I can see the application technology and better explain it to other team members and the like, and be reminded myself as to how it's all set up. So there's a lot of developer focus in the UI here. Now I think all these things are actually fully deployed at this point, but to verify, we'll do a rollout that watches the status with a -w, and it'll execute pretty quickly because I'm pretty confident they're already rolled out. But this is a double check. Yeah, now we're good. Now we can actually go and see the product page. Now you may be used to, if you've used OpenShift before, going to the main product page and looking for a little link. There's not one here. In the resources, there's not a route, no routes defined for this resource. And initially I was concerned about it. Now I remember we put in an Istio ingress gateway, and that's what we should be using. That's spelled out right here in the book info product page link. And we see here up at the top in the URL bar that Istio ingress gateway freezer 2, that this is where we're going. And we have our fully qualified domain name / product page brings us to the product page. So, hey, this is pretty cool. And we see book details, we see reviews. This is a round robin, service. So each time I click the the service, it's going to go to the next version. Hey, version 1 suddenly includes, or 2 includes the black stars rating, and now red stars ratings. So this is the full stack, the details, reviews, and ratings. And if I continue to click, I'll say none, black, red, none, black, red. And I could just do this all day, so I'm going to stop myself right now. And that works as advertised. If we want to see the pods that make up, for example, here are the reviews. We can use an OC command here to get them. And notice that we only have a single pod for logic, but we have 2 pods because one's the Envoy sidecar. And what we're seeing here is that that's there. In fact, if I wanted to verify the 2 containers that are in that, I could go OC describe pod. And this brings out a whole bunch of information. But the image, there's 2 images here. Here, I'm just going to grep for those. And one of these images is the Docker IO Maestra examples book info reviews. The other one is the service mesh proxy. So there you go. They're both in there. And that brings us to the end of the second video here for covers chapter 3.